Hey everybody, welcome back to Guns and Gadgets, your premier source for Second Amendment news. We got some stuff today that everybody should be paying attention to if you're concerned about the future of the country and gun control, especially by the presidential candidates. And this has to specifically do with the Joe Biden camp. And before I get into what came out today and over the last couple of days, I want to thank Nate over at Gun Pro Deals for sponsoring today's news. Nate is a stand-up dude. If you're in the market for something, a tool that our community likes to use, especially now since a lot of people have a stimulus check that's burning a hole in their pocket, check this out if you like shotguns. This is a pretty cool AR platform shotgun. The TAC Pro, that's for sale now. You could actually get 2 of those with your stimulus check. So check them out. Very easy to find on Google. They're still open, and as long as your FFL is open to receive product, they're good to go. So thank you, Nate, and support those who support the channel, please. Let's move on to this news about Joe Biden and his potential running mate for vice president. Well, a lot of news has come out over the last 2 days if you're specifically looking for it, because the Biden camp's been very quiet. He's like in his bunker below his house. They probably have him in a sarcophagus or something, but the process to find his running mate has kicked into high gear. And there are a couple parts that should be making us raise an eyebrow. First off, today he named 4 people on his committee, on his team, that are going to vet these candidates. And I'll tell you who the main candidates are, and also tell you who else is helping to train these candidates, run them through a boot camp, because that alone bears watching as well. So today the Biden camp named 4 individuals who will be the pillars of the team to select his running mate. Now I'm going to read it off the screen because I want to get their titles right. Former U.S. Senator Christopher Dodd, U.S. Representative Lisa Blunt, Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti, and Cynthia Hogan. Now you may have heard some of those names before, you might not have. I'll give you a quick rundown of what we should know about those folks. And if you're a long-time person who's been in the gun game for a long time, you'll know the Dodd name. Former U.S. Senator Chris Dodd never saw a good gun grab he didn't like. He's very anti-gun. He voted on things for like no firearms in baggage for Amtrak trains. He voted a couple different ways for people to sue gun manufacturers based off of what an end user does with them. He's huge for background checks, the universal type. And also, if you heard the name Dodd before, you're like, where have I heard that name? Well, his father was one of the key architects for the Gun Control Act of 1968. So it's like a gun-grabbing family tree he comes from, and he is the first person named to the Biden team. The second person is U.S. Rep. Lisa Blunt, and Lisa is also anti-gun, very anti-gun. She's in favor of things of a nationally governmental-funded assault weapon buyback program, very against teachers with firearms in school, and has actually voted for both universal background check bills that were before the House, H.R. 8, H.R. 1112. If you don't know what those are, I've done videos on them, search it, and they're very, very bad bills, very anti-gun, and she's for them. The third pillar of the Biden team is the mayor of Los Angeles, California. That alone tells you everything you need to know about Eric Garcetti, because have you been paying attention to the gun store closures in Los Angeles and the Los Angeles County Sheriff Villanueva ordering them closed, have a lawsuit tell him back off, he backs off, then decides he's going to close some anyway, lawsuits have ensued. It's all part of the anti-gun Mayor Garcetti, who has been no friend of firearms for quite some time. The last name people might not have heard about, Cynthia Hogan. Cynthia Hogan was an aide for Biden for a very, very long time, and he's chosen her. And I was wondering why he chose her, so I had to do some digging this morning, and I think I found the root of the reason. Right after the Sandy Hook incident, Biden, well, the president at the time, Obama, tasked the vice president, Joe Biden, with chairing a task force, a gun control task force. And who do you think served on that? That's right, Cynthia Hogan. She is very anti-gun, and she's even served on gun control task force for the former vice president. So those 4 anti-gun folks are going to be selecting a new potential vice president who no doubt will have to match their anti-gun views. Okay, and that's one side of this two-headed monster. The other side of this monster is another group that Biden will be sending these candidates to undergo a boot camp of sorts, if you will. Now, before I get into the second group, I figured it's probably a good time to tell you the main four names that have popped up all over the nation as far as the main four folks that Biden is looking at to run for vice president. First, we know that it will be a woman. He said that several times. And they are all, guess what? Anti-gun. Some of them are so anti-gun, they don't know anything else. So you got Stacey Abrams, who is obviously very, very anti-gun. She is one of the choices. So is the gun control czar from California, Kamala Harris. And then we have Amy Klobuchar from Minnesota. And then last but not least, we have Chief Anti-Gun Pocahontas herself, Elizabeth Warren. Now, later this week, there is going to be a boot camp that I've been talking about. There's a boot camp opening up, and it's being run by none other than Everytown for Gun Safety. That's right, Michael Bloomberg's anti-gun group that is putting millions and millions and millions of dollars into all of the local races for whatever, any type of office that could flip that municipality or that state or that county into being anti-gun. Bloomberg is the biggest risk we have to our freedoms money-wise. Now, Everytown for Gun Safety is also being joined by another anti-gun group who's going to be running this boot camp, and that is, you guessed it, Moms Demand Action, another anti-gun group paid for by Michael Bloomberg. Now, I even have the dates of when these four candidates are running through this little process, and they're calling this process the Demanding Woman Series. And while they're not really giving a lot of information about it, something tells me that they're going to instill the techniques and the methods that have been working for these groups, because we have to not stop fooling ourselves. They've been working. See Virginia. See what they're trying to do in Texas this year for their elections. But it bears watching. They know what they're doing, and they're going to instill this program, this strategy, this anti-gun guide into these candidates. Now, Stacey Abrams took part in the series on April 28th, just 2 days ago. So she went through her indoctrination on Tuesday, and the rest of the group will go through as follows. Senator Elizabeth Warren will go through on May 4th, while Amy Klobuchar will go through the series on May 7th, and Kamala Harris will go through the series on May 8th. Now, we should all know the name Shannon Watts. She is the head of Moms Demand Action. She had this to say about this series. The leaders participating in our Demanding Woman series are doing everything in their power to fight the coronavirus pandemic and its intersections with systemic racism and inequities. From voter access issues to rising rates of city gun violence and domestic violence, these women are leading the conversation to demand a better, safer world for every American. That last line is the truth. They're indoctrinating them with their form of gun control, because Moms Demand Action doesn't give a hoot about coronavirus or systemic racism, because the initial gun control itself was racist, okay? So that's just BS. See through the smoke. Now, one other name that I've seen that is tied to the possible candidate is Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer. Now, Whitmer is a typical Democrat governor who has called firearms-related things like ranges and gun shops non-essential, has called for increasing gun control in the wake of the violence. But the violence is usually always committed by criminals, so let's just prosecute criminals instead of going after us constitutional-abiding folks. But she is another prime apple for the Biden camp. In fact, while we're talking about Whitmer, the governor there in Michigan, let's talk about a story that came out a couple days ago. See, the governor has ordered all gun shops closed, similar to here in Massachusetts and a couple other states. What happened was a woman named Lisa Mayo opened up a brand new gun shop, and that shop's called Flashpoint Firearms, strictly because of the governor's anti-gun order. Mayo used to sell at gun shows, and since she can't sell at gun shows because they've been shut down, she's been forced to open up a gun shop in order to keep her income coming in. So way to go, Lisa. Good job. Way to make the anti-gun mayor's plan backfire and kick him right where the sun doesn't shine. That's awesome. But in the last 2 to 3 days, we now have the selection committee for the vice presidential candidate for Joe Biden. And also we know the names and the dates that their candidates are going through this gun control workshop boot camp by Moms Demand Action in Every Town for Gun Safety and Michael Bloomberg. Also, the Biden camp has said today that they hope to have their picks solidified by July. So now that tomorrow is May, we already know the dates that these people are going through this course. He'll have a couple of weeks to, see where each one lies, do some interviews or whatever, and make his decision. Next few weeks are going to be big to see who is going to be right by Biden's side. And I still wouldn't rule out Hillary Clinton. All right, guys, please don't forget to check out Gun Pro Deals. Let them know you saw it here. And thank you for your time. I appreciate you all much more than you know. If you could do me a favor, if you're new here, please subscribe to the channel. This is where you're going to get Second Amendment news on a daily basis, sometimes multiple videos a day. And every now and then there's some good news sprinkled in, I promise. But thank you for your time. Also, please like and share the video. And until we see each other again, be safe, stay vigilant, and carry your weapons. Take care, everybody.